So it's been weeks since I decided I should become an AI expert. And so, what have I learned? I've been watching a bunch of videos, I've been doing a bunch of testing, and it is amazing. Just to hash out some of the things I've noticed. So, a lot of it is on how you ask the question. No question about that. That's what everybody said, and it's true. I've tried doing content for websites, very successful. I've also done some images for websites, very cool. Some are just fantastic, just amazing. I've also tried, since I do have a medical library background, for many years I worked as a librarian. I, um, I tried some medical questions and it, it was really good. So everybody has their own bias, and how you ask the question is probably going to bring in some of that bias, or at least direct it in the way you're thinking. So for me, I asked it in a certain way. I wanted it to think outside of the box for a medical situation because I basically knew the standard, and it did give me an overview, which was amazingly good and fast. So I can see where it's going to have a huge effect on the medical library field, even the whole medical field. I mean, no one person can read that much information. So if the AI can put it together, it's just amazing what it can do. So I can see where it can give people, maybe it's not always right, but it's giving you a lot of ideas to think about and consider. So, like when I said to think outside the box on this medical situation, it did. It came up with some ideas I hadn't thought of. And granted, I had thought about the situation quite a bit. So I was pretty impressed. That doesn't mean it's right. You have to make the judgment call whether you're going to try what it's saying, or you believe, or you want to further investigate that. But it's giving you things to think about. A couple days ago, I tried it on an engineering situation, pretty complicated situation. One, at first, I really didn't understand. I mean, I knew what the person was asking, and I would not have known how to approach it with equations to figure out, could it take this load? Could it take the fatigue and the whole thing? And at first, the answers seemed to be maybe how should I put it? Too high. Like it could withstand way more than what made sense. So the next day, after thinking about it more, I thought, is the breaking point the same as a bending point in this situation? And the answer is no. Something's going to start bending way sooner than it's going to just buckle. So that had a huge effect on the equation. Now, once I reworded the equation, then it came up with answers that made sense. And I mean, they made sense as far as the amount of weight it could hold, and could it withstand 1,000 pickups over a year and stuff like that. And it calculated it out. It was pretty amazing. So I can see where engineering is going to benefit, but you can't go into these things with no knowledge. I mean, in my opinion, you're not going to know how to ask the question in a sense. And will you be able to make a call as to, is it valid? Does it make sense? Is it accurate? So I think the more I see it as a tool. And for like our web business, it's like having a professional designer at your fingertips, a professional writer at your fingertips, which I never had, couldn't afford. So I did those things myself. And I enjoyed it, but you can spend hours doing that sort of thing. And if it, depending on the budget, maybe it's not something that's in the budget, for you to spend that much time doing it. So, in this case, I can do something quick for a client whose budget is not as big and get some ideas, even put it on the website and ask them to review it right away. And then they can, yay or nay to parts of it. And it makes the process go faster by giving them some content, because not everybody is going to take time to write all the content, even though it's their business and they know it inside and out. It still takes time to do that. So having this quick content writer to kind of get the ball rolling is very helpful, extremely helpful. Now I have another website that's always been a kind of a test website of my own, and I may never make a dime on it, and I don't, so I never really wanted to spend a lot of time writing content for it, to be honest with you. If it took off and I was making money, sure, I'd write content. But now, in 5 minutes, I can have a bunch of content and some images and post them. And I've even gotten smart enough to ask the AI to add in the code. So basically, quick copy paste and review quickly and save, and it's there. Images are a little bit trickier. You want to make sure they're in the right format. For me, I always use JPEG, and they seem to come off as PNGs, but mainly only for size. So I take a little more time, but still, we're talking minutes compared to hours. So it's a huge difference there. I may not be an expert per se, ever, I don't know, but I'm certainly learning how to use the tool. And that in itself has made it well worth the time watching the videos and learning, testing. I'm also seeing that some AIs will do certain things differently than others. So I think I want to explore that more. Now, I haven't gotten into doing an agent yet. There's a lot of areas I have not gotten into yet, but I'm using it, so it's definitely benefiting already. So it's been at least 2 months, probably maybe 3 months. I don't know. Yeah, probably. Okay. Not sure if I'm going to upload these videos, but hey, it's part of the journey. And we're down here in the cave next to the fire. So if you want to learn more about these projects, follow us on YouTube. And I'll call it a day.